The story. The day the CEO met Mr. Huggs. "Leah, please, we're going to be late." Clara Ramirez rushed through the small apartment, looking for her employee badge, while trying to fasten the last button of her blouse. Her morning coffee lay forgotten on the table, cold and untouched. "I can't find Mr. Huggs," protested Leah, her 6-year-old sister, clinging to the doorframe with a panicked expression. "What? Now? We can't look for that bear right now." The nanny's call had come barely 20 minutes ago. "I'm at the hospital. My mother had an accident." With those words, Clara's carefully planned day had crumbled like a house of cards. "I'm not going without him," Leah insisted, crossing her small arms. Clara ran a hand through her hair. 23 years old, and she already felt like she had lived 3 lives. Working as an assistant at Monteverde Fashion, taking care of her little sister since their parents passed away, and still trying to finish her studies at night. All without a single break. "Here he is!" she exclaimed, pulling the worn teddy bear from under the sofa. "Now let's go. Remember what we talked about. You're going to be very quiet in the break room, with your books and your tablet. If anyone asks..." "I'm Isabel from Human Resources Nice," Leah recited proudly. The drive to the imposing glass building in the financial heart of Mexico City was a race against time. Clara felt her heart hammering in her throat as she slid her card across the security sensor, holding Leah's hand firmly. "Good morning, Miss Ramirez. And who is this little one?" the guard asked curiously. "It's a family emergency. She'll only be with me until noon." Clara guided Leah to the 8th floor break room, settling her in a discreet corner. "I have to go to my desk now. I'll be back in an hour to check on you, okay? Here's your breakfast and your new crayons. Promise you won't be long?" Leah's eyes, identical to their mother's, looked at her with that mix of trust and fear that always broke her heart. "I promise. If you need anything urgent, use the cell phone and call me. Do you remember which button?" Leah nodded, clutching Mr. Huggs to her chest, the CEO and the teddy bear. 40 minutes later, Clara took advantage of a calm moment to sneak off to check on her sister. The day had started surprisingly well. Not even the dreaded call from the CEO had appeared on her schedule. Gabriel Monteverde, the man who had turned his father's small boutique into a fashion empire in less than 5 years, was known for his relentless perfectionism and calculated coldness. As she approached the break room, an unexpected sound stopped her dead. Laughter. An unmistakable child's laugh, and another, deeper masculine one, that sent a chill down her spine. "So what's your friend's name?" a deep voice asked. "Mr. Huggs. My sister gave him to me when Mom and Dad went to heaven." Clara felt the floor open up beneath her. She peered slowly through the ajar door, and the image paralyzed her. Gabriel Monteverde, the feared CEO, was squatting in front of Leah, holding the teddy bear gently in his hands. His custom-made designer suit contrasted absurdly with the scene. "That's a very appropriate name," he said with a smile Clara had never seen in the office. "He looks like an expert hugger." "He is. He can keep secrets too." Leah looked at him conspiratorially. "Do you keep secrets?" Something shifted in Gabriel's expression, a flicker of vulnerability so brief, Clara almost thought she'd imagined it. "More than I should," he replied quietly. Clara finally walked in, unable to keep watching unseen. The movement made both of them turn toward her. Leah beamed, but Gabriel's expression instantly transformed, returning to his usual mask of absolute control. "Mr. Monteverde, I'm so sorry. It's an exceptional situation. My nanny, Miss Ramirez, I don't recall authorizing a daycare in our facilities." His tone was cold, but Clara noticed his eyes were still on Leah, with something akin to curiosity. "It's entirely my fault," she quickly explained. "I'll take her home immediately." "My sister is the best in the world," Leah interjected, lifting her chin proudly. "She works very hard to take care of me, and so we can have a nice house." The silence that followed was thick. Gabriel watched the girl for a few eternal seconds. The presentation for the Japanese investors is at 5, he finally said, addressing Clara. I need you available until then. But Leah, the child can stay in my office. There is enough space and no one will bother her there. Clara blinked, sure she had misheard. In your office? Unless you have a better suggestion, Miss Ramirez. No, sir, it's just that… Gabriel glanced at his designer watch. We will discuss it later. I have a video call with Milan now. He headed toward the door, but stopped next to Clara. His sudden closeness made her hold her breath. The subtle scent of his cologne enveloped her as he looked her up and down with an intensity that sent a shiver through her. I need to talk to you, he muttered, just loud enough for only her to hear. And without waiting for an answer, he disappeared down the hall, leaving behind a trail of confusion and Clara's persistently racing heart. A business proposition, Gabriel Monteverde's office looked more like an art gallery than an office. Floor-to-ceiling windows offered a breathtaking panoramic view of Mexico City. Leah pressed her nose to the glass, fascinated by the miniature cars, sliding like shiny ants. This city is yours, isn't it? The girl asked. A fleeting smile crossed Gabriel's face as he arranged documents on his black marble desk. No one can own an entire city, Leah, but you own this very tall building. My sister says you are very important. Clara, who had returned from coordinating some shipments, felt heat rise to her face. Leah, don't bother Mr. Monteverde with nonsense. It's not nonsense, he interjected, surprising her with his gentle tone. Your sister is an exceptional observer. The tense atmosphere of the morning had given way to something different, something Clara couldn't decipher. Gabriel had allowed Leah to settle in a corner of his office with her toys and books, as if it were the most natural thing in the world. Please, sit down, he instructed, pointing to the elegant chairs in front of his desk. Clara obeyed, feeling her hands tremble slightly. About today's incident. I've been observing you, Clara, he interrupted, pronouncing her name for the first time. You have a unique ability to anticipate the needs of others. It's uncommon. The compliment completely disoriented her. Thank you, but I'm just doing my job. Precisely why I want to propose something to you. He leaned his body forward. I have an extremely important client. The Chinese magnate, Wei Lin. Have you heard of him? Of course. His investment could double our presence in Asia. Exactly. He's coming with his 7-year-old daughter. His wife passed away 2 years ago, and the girl… Well, let's just say she's complicated to keep entertained during our meetings. Clara began to understand where the conversation was headed. You want me to take care of the child during his visit? I want to offer you a temporary position as Special Affairs Coordinator, he corrected. You would be in charge of creating a suitable environment for little May during the negotiations. 3 days, next weekend. Clara swallowed. The figure hit her like a wave. With that money, she could pay for the dental treatment Leah needed, and maybe even make a down payment on a larger apartment. Why me? There's more qualified staff. Because I saw how you care for your sister. His eyes drifted toward Leah, who was now drawing abstractly. That child is happy despite the circumstances. That says a lot about you. The door opened without warning. Isabel from Human Resources entered with a tablet in hand, followed by 2 foreign executives. Mr. Monteverde, the Italian textile representatives are here for… She stopped upon seeing Leah. A child? My special guest, Gabriel replied naturally. Gentlemen, give me a few minutes. When the visitors left, Isabel remained in the doorway with a confused expression. I didn't know we had scheduled children's visits. There are many things you don't know, Isabel, Gabriel retorted, with a tone that brooked no argument. Prepare a temporary contract for Miss Ramirez, Special Affairs Coordinator, directly under my supervision. Isabel nodded curtly and left. Clara felt like she had entered an alternate dimension. What do you think? He asked. I need to think about it, she replied honestly. I have responsibilities to Leah and weekend commitments. Leah can accompany us. In fact, it might be beneficial for May to have company her age. The proposal hung in the air like a dangerous promise. Too perfect, too convenient. Clara had learned that things that seemed too good to be true usually were. Why do I have the feeling there's something else behind this offer? Something shifted in Gabriel's gaze. A spark of admiration? Perceptive, he murmured. Yes, there's more. Wei Lin is extremely traditional. He values family above all. I thought your presence with Leah might create a more welcoming context. He was asking her to pretend to be part of some kind of family scenario. The silence that followed was his answer. Clara stood up from the chair, indignant. That is completely inappropriate. I'm not asking you for anything inappropriate, he clarified, remaining serene. Only to be yourself, with your sister, in a different context. Leah, who had apparently been paying attention to the conversation, suddenly approached. Are we going on a trip? She asked with bright eyes. We haven't decided yet, darling, Clara replied. But you want to go, right? The girl insisted, then turned to Gabriel with a mischievous smile. She really likes her job. She always says you're very handsome when she talks on the phone. Leah! Clara exclaimed, more mortified. Gabriel's laughter echoed throughout the office, a sound so unexpected that even Leah gasped. That handsome man wants to marry my sister, the girl added with complete naturalness, worsening the situation. The atmosphere changed instantly. Gabriel's gaze locked onto Clara with a searing intensity, and she felt the air between them charge with electricity. A feminine voice, elegant and cold as steel, broke the moment. Well, well, a woman impeccably dressed interrupted. Her beauty was the kind of perfection that only money and privilege could polish to that level of excellence. Viviana, Gabriel said, and the name sounded like a warning. The newcomer advanced with the grace of a panther, her heels clicking on the marble floor. She leaned in to give Gabriel a kiss on the cheek, without taking her eyes off Clara. And this must be, she asked, assessing Clara from head to toe. Clara Ramirez, my assistant. Viviana smiled, but the gesture didn't reach her eyes. Of course, the assistant. And the little one must be. My sister, Clara replied, instinctively straightening her back. Viviana crouched down to Leah, her expensive perfume flooding the space between them. She stroked the girl's cheek with a perfectly manicured nail. Did you know your sister isn't good enough for him? She whispered with venomous sweetness. The weekend in Valle de Bravo. The helicopter soared over the forests of Valle de Bravo, silhouetted against an impossibly blue sky. From her seat, Clara contemplated the landscape with a mixture of awe and nervousness. 3 days ago, she never would have imagined accepting that absurd proposal. We're flying, Clara, really flying. Leah pressed her nose against the window, leaving breath marks on the glass. Don't touch anything, please, she whispered, although she knew it was useless to contain her sister's excitement. In front of them, Gabriel reviewed documents on his tablet, with the same concentration he would have in his office. Occasionally, he looked up at Leah with an unreadable expression on his face. The descent onto the lake was as smooth as it was surreal. Upon landing on the private platform, Clara distinguished the silhouette of a modernist mansion integrated into the wooded hillside. You live here? She asked, unable to contain herself. Occasionally, Gabriel replied naturally. The Wei family will arrive tomorrow at noon. Today we will have time to prepare. An impeccably dressed butler received them with discreet bows. Welcome, Mr. Monteverde. The rooms are prepared according to your instructions. Clara followed Gabriel through the spacious hallways of the residence, amazed at the panoramic windows that framed the lake like living paintings. Leah ran ahead, marveling at every detail. Your suite connects to the children's room, he explained as he opened a carved door. I hope it's suitable. Suite was an understatement. The space seemed lifted from an architectural magazine. Fine woods, white linen, and a private terrace overlooking the water. It's excessive, she murmured. It's necessary, he corrected. Wei Lin will expect my close collaborators to maintain a certain level. The word collaborators hung in the air. What exactly were they? Boss and employee? Accomplices in a business charade? We'll go down to dinner at 8, Gabriel added before leaving. While Leah explored the children's room with exclamations of delight, Clara sank onto the bed, trying to process how her life had taken such a turn in less than a week. The main dining room was illuminated by chandeliers suspended over an oak table that could easily seat 20 guests. However, only 3 settings were arranged at one end. Gabriel waited, standing with a glass of whiskey in his hand. He had changed his formal suit for dark trousers and a shirt unbuttoned at the neck. He looked younger, almost vulnerable. "What a pretty dress," he exclaimed upon seeing Leah, who proudly displayed her favorite outfit. "Clara bought it for me, with her Christmas bonus," the girl replied, spinning to show the ruffles. Dinner proceeded with a disconcerting normalcy. Gabriel proved to be an attentive host, telling Leah stories about the lake while they tasted dishes prepared by the private chef. Not once did he mention business or the imminent visit. "Why are you doing all this?" Clara finally asked when dessert was served. The truth. He contemplated his wine glass before answering. Half of business is closed in informal settings, not boardrooms. My father built an empire by sacrificing everything else. When he died, no one cried except his lawyers. His eyes darkened. Wei Lin respects success, but he venerates family, something I don't have. The unexpected sincerity disarmed her. "So we are a temporary facade. I prefer to call it favorable context." Leah, who had been unusually quiet, yawned audibly. "I'm sleepy," she announced, rubbing her eyes. "I'll take you to bed." Clara got up, grateful for the interruption. "I can help," Gabriel offered, surprising her. The 3 went upstairs in a comfortable silence. The intimacy of the moment, so domestic and mundane, contrasted absurdly with the reality of their relationship. Once Leah was asleep, Clara went out onto the terrace, needing fresh air to clear her thoughts. She didn't expect to find Gabriel there, contemplating the moon's reflection on the lake. "I'm sorry," she murmured, ready to retreat. "Stay," he asked, offering her a glass of wine. "The night is too beautiful to waste." The silence between them throbbed with unasked questions. Clara sipped the wine, feeling how the warm liquid gave her a courage she normally didn't possess. What happened with Viviana? The question escaped her lips before she could contain it. Gabriel's jaw visibly tensed. A predictable story. Wealthy families, mutual expectations, social commitments. Nothing real. She doesn't seem to see it that way. Viviana considers real what is convenient for her. His fingers accidentally brushed Clara's as he leaned on the railing. "Just like me, I suppose." The sudden closeness made her heart race. The scent of his cologne mixed with the night forest. "And what is convenient for you now?" she whispered, surprised by her own audacity. Gabriel turned toward her. The silver moonlight drew shadows on his habitually impenetrable face. His eyes briefly dropped to her lips. Something I probably shouldn't desire. The world seemed to stop as he slowly leaned in. Clara held her breath, paralyzed between desire and reason. His lips were millimeters away, sharing the same warm breath. But then Gabriel pulled away abruptly, as if waking from a trance. "I'm sorry," he murmured, running a hand through his hair. "This is inappropriate." "Completely inappropriate," she confirmed, trying to hide the disappointment in her voice. The sound of a phone broke the tension. Gabriel checked the screen with a frown. "I have to take this call. Excuse me." Clara remained on the terrace long after he left, trying to understand what had just happened. How had she allowed the situation to go so far? A noise at the property entrance alerted her. Car headlights briefly illuminated the main garden. When Viviana's elegant figure emerged from the vehicle, Clara felt her stomach clench. From her elevated position, she watched Gabriel go out to greet her. The conversation seemed tense, even from a distance. Viviana gesticulated vehemently, while he maintained a defensive posture. When they finally entered the house, Clara decided to retreat. Passing through the hallway that led to the guest rooms, she heard Viviana's voice through a slightly open door. "Make it look like she seduced him," she was saying conspiratorially to someone on the phone. "Of course it will work. No one will believe her word against mine." Clara walked away, her heart pounding in her chest. Hours later, unable to sleep, she got up to check that Leah was sleeping peacefully. Returning to her room, a silhouette in the hallway paralyzed her. Gabrielle was stealthily leaving Viviana's bedroom at midnight. The fights and the family. Dawn found Clara with her eyes wide open, staring at the ceiling. She hadn't slept. The image of Gabriel leaving Viviana's room replayed in her mind like a cruel movie. Sunbeams illuminated the room when she sat up. Through the ajar door, she checked that Leah was still asleep, hugging her inseparable teddy bear. "Naive," she scolded herself. "What did you expect?" She chose the most discreet and professional outfit from her suitcase. The Wei family would arrive today, and she needed emotional distance. While brushing her hair, she mentally rehearsed sharp phrases for when she inevitably ran into Gabrielle. Going downstairs, tense voices emanating from the study caught her attention. "What are you playing at, Gabrielle?" Viviana's voice sounded frustrated. "A secretary and a child. Seriously." "I don't have to give you explanations." "Of course you do. Your father and mine closed this deal before he died, I know," Gabriel interrupted dryly. "But business changes. People do too." Clara backed away, but a floorboard creaked under her weight. The voices immediately ceased. "Good morning," Gabriel greeted, opening the door as if he expected to find her there. "Coffee?" His face showed no signs of discomfort or guilt. He was impeccably dressed, as if last night's scene had never happened. "I'd rather talk about what I saw." Viviana appeared behind him, wearing an outfit that screamed exclusivity. Her calculated smile contrasted with the fire in her eyes. "What an early bird. People with real responsibilities are usually like that, aren't they?" "Viviana," Gabriel warned. "Don't worry, I won't interrupt your executive meeting," the woman replied, deliberately brushing Gabriel's arm as she passed. "I still have to prepare to receive the vice." When they were alone, the tension in the air thickened. Last night's events hung between them. A child's laugh interrupted them. Leah was coming down the stairs, radiant in her unicorn pajamas. "I'm hungry. Can we have pancakes?" The moment of confrontation vanished. During breakfast, Gabrielle maintained light conversation with Leah, while Clara remained distant, watching him suspiciously. How could he act so normal? "Are you angry?" Leah whispered when Gabriel got up to take a call. "No, sweetie, just tired." "You're a terrible liar," the girl retorted with that intuition that always surprised her. "You look like when Mom and Dad argued." The words shook her. Was she that transparent? The helicopter with the Wei family landed punctually at noon. The magnate turned out to be a short man with a severe expression, who evaluated everything with a critical gaze. His daughter, May, was a little girl with a solemn face and an immaculate dress. Viviana appeared as if by magic, deploying her charm like a peacock its feathers. Her fluid Mandarin impressed Wei Lin, who dedicated more attention to her than to the rest. While the adults met, Clara took the girls to the backyard. May remained quiet, observing cautiously. "Do you want to meet Mr. Hugs?" Leah offered, extending her teddy bear. The Chinese girl shook her head, backing away slightly. "She's scared," Clara explained in English. "Everything is new to her, like when I came to live with you," Leah mused. "But you sang me that song, and I stopped being afraid." Without thinking much, Clara began to hum the lullaby she used to soothe her sister. Slowly, May's expression softened. When she finally accepted the teddy bear, Clara felt a small victory. She didn't notice Gabriel's presence until he sat down next to them on the grass, abandoning all formality. With surprising naturalness, he joined the game, managing to make Mei laugh for the first time. From a distance, Wei Lin watched the scene. His serious expression transformed into something close to approval. The afternoon progressed with formal meetings interrupted by moments with the girls. Clara noticed how Viviana constantly tried to monopolize Gabriel's attention, touching him with studied casualness or whispering in his ear. During dinner, the tension mounted. Wei Lin discussed possible terms of the agreement with Gabriel, while Viviana strategically intervened, positioning herself as a fundamental part of the company's future. "Your fiancée has business vision," Wei Lin commented in English, pointing to Viviana. "She's not my fiancée," Gabriel corrected firmly. Viviana's expression froze for an instant before she regained her practiced smile. "We're still formalizing the details," she replied lightly. Important families must maintain certain traditions. Clara listened, perplexed. The manipulation was so evident it was painful. When the girls began to nod off, she welcomed the excuse to withdraw. "I'll go with you," Gabriel offered, getting up. "I need to check some documents in my study." In the hallway, while the little ones walked ahead, Clara finally confronted him. "What is really happening? Viviana acts as if you have an engagement." "It's complicated. I saw you leave her room last night." The words escaped like poisoned darts. "I don't think it's that complicated." The surprise on his face seemed genuine. "It's not what you think. Viviana came uninvited. I went to her room to demand that she leave because I received information about her true intentions," he insisted. "She is trying to sabotage this agreement." Doubt settled in Clara. What if he was telling the truth? The final ultimatum. The next day, Viviana's attitude toward Leah confirmed Clara's worst fears. During breakfast, the woman pulled the girl aside while Clara was preparing juice. "Do you know why your sister is really here?" she asked with false sweetness. "Because men like Gabriel sometimes need temporary distractions." Clara dropped the glass she was holding. The crash made everyone turn. Gabriel, who had overheard everything, addressed Viviana with a controlled fury that chilled the room. "Enough! This farce ends now." "Farce?" Viviana laughed scornfully. "The only farce is pretending that this employee has a place here. What will our families say? What will Wei Lin say? I don't give a damn what they say." The silence that followed was absolute. Even the girls were paralyzed by the intensity of the moment. That afternoon, watching Viviana leave the property in a cloud of indignation, Clara made her decision. She would protect Leah from this game of power and ambition. "I want to transfer to another department," she told Gabriel when she found him alone. "This is too complicated." His expression darkened. "Is that your answer? To run away?" "My answer is to put my sister first." "Clara, I won't let you go without listening to me," he interrupted, blocking the door with his imposing figure. A week had passed since Valle de Bravo. The agreement with Wei Lin had been successfully closed, but the waters at Monteverde Fashion were far from calm. The grand ballroom of the Imperial Hotel was buzzing with activity. The presentation of the new collection had brought together the cream of the Mexican business world. Waiters with champagne trays zigzagged between guests dressed in designer suits and high-fashion gowns. Clara, relegated to supervising the event logistics, watched from a discreet corner. Her transfer request was still processing, a clear maneuver by Gabriel to keep her in her position. Since their confrontation, they had barely exchanged words that weren't strictly professional. "Your champagne, boss." Isabel handed her a glass. "You look like you need it." "I'm on duty," she refused with a tense smile. "We all are, but you have to survive the wildlife." Isabel pointed toward the center of the room, where Viviana sparkled in a stunning red dress. Although Gabrielle had expelled her from Valle de Bravo, her position as the daughter of the main shareholder made her virtually untouchable. She had returned to the company with renewed determination, like a wounded but more dangerous predator. The general murmur subsided when Gabriel appeared. His presence always generated that effect. He advanced through the guests with that unique blend of authority and distance that characterized him. Clara tried to melt into the shadows, but his eyes found her immediately. For a brief moment, something unreadable crossed his gaze. Before she could decipher it, Viviana materialized beside him, hooking onto his arm with studied elegance. "I need to check the press area," Clara muttered to Isabel, moving away. She hadn't reached the middle of the room when Viviana intercepted her path, dragging a young journalist. "Here's Sophie," she smiled with false cordiality. "She can give you all the details about what exactly was your position." "Events coordinator," Clara replied professionally. "Right. Something like that." Viviana took a sip of champagne. "Sophie is doing a profile on the executive team. I was explaining that you are one of those inspiring stories of overcoming adversity." The journalist looked at her with genuine interest, oblivious to the underlying malice. "Did you always want to work in fashion?" Before she could answer, Viviana intervened. "The fascinating thing is how she reached her current position. She ascended remarkably fast for someone without specialized training, didn't she?" The venom in her words was unmistakable. "My trajectory is documented in human resources," Clara replied with forced calm. "If you'll excuse me, I need to check some details." "Don't be modest," Viviana retained her arm. "We all know about your special relationship with the management." Several curious glances turned toward them. The tension in the air thickened. "Viviana, enough!" Gabriel's deep voice cut through the air. "I was only praising her ability to climb the ranks," she countered with poisonous sweetness. "Come with me," he ordered Viviana. His tone brooked no denial. The woman obeyed, but not before whispering in Clara's ear. "You are nobody to him, just a convenient little employee." Clara's cheeks burned with humiliation. Around her, guests pretended not to have witnessed the scene, but the murmurs were already spreading like wildfire. The grand announcement hours later, as the last guests left the ballroom, Clara supervised the event breakdown with mechanical efficiency, taking refuge in work to avoid thinking. "Excellent work." Gabriel's deep voice startled her. Wei Lin was impressed. "Thank you, Mr. Monteverde," she replied without looking at him. "Clara, about what happened earlier. It's not necessary. I perfectly understand my place." "No, you don't understand." His tone softened. "Can we talk privately?" A crash interrupted the conversation. Leah came running from the wardrobe area, where Clara had left her in the care of an assistant. "Clara, that bad lady said nasty things about you to Sophie." Clara's heart stopped. "What lady, darling?" "The one in the red dress. She told her you got your job by—" She frowned, trying to remember the adult words. "Sleeping with the boss." The silence that followed was deafening. Several nearby employees pretended not to hear, but the damage was done. "You and I are going home now." Clara took her sister's hand. "I'll take care of this," Gabriel said. His voice turned to cold steel. "You've done enough," she retorted, holding back tears. She had never felt such humiliation. Her professional reputation, built with effort and sacrifice, was tainted in a matter of minutes. The next day, the atmosphere in the office was suffocating. The fleeting glances and whispers ceased when she entered a room. Isabel was the only one who approached her openly. "The rumors are flying," she said without preamble. "But not all is bad news. Viviana is on thin ice. Gabriel called an emergency meeting with the board. I've never seen him so furious." Before she could process this information, Clara received a message from Human Resources. Her stomach clenched as she read, "Personnel review. Preliminary list of cuts." Her name topped the list. The floor seemed to sink beneath her feet. Fired. Without references. With a mortgage and Leah's medical expenses. She tried to concentrate on her work, but the letters blurred before her tear-filled eyes. In the mid-afternoon, the sound of firm heels announced Viviana's arrival at her desk. "What a shame about the list," she commented with feigned compassion. "The job market is so difficult lately." Clara merely looked at her in silence. "Don't worry," Viviana continued. They always hire waitresses in the bars downtown, although you'd probably have to wear shorter skirts. Something snapped inside Clara. She stood up slowly, looking directly into her tormentor's eyes. Do you know what the saddest thing is, Viviana? That your whole life, everything you are, is reduced to your relationship with powerful men. Without that, you would be as empty as you are now. Viviana's scornful smile wavered for an instant. Be careful what you say. I can still make that dismissal immediate. Clara's reply was interrupted by a sudden silence that spread through the office. Gabriel advanced toward them with an impenetrable expression, followed by the main investors, including Wei Lin. Without warning, he stopped in front of Clara. I need you to accompany me to the boardroom, now. The murmurs intensified as she followed Gabriel, feeling all eyes fixed on her back. Was this how it would end? A public humiliation as a final touch? In the imposing room, the executives took seats around the marble table. Viviana entered last, her confidence visibly diminished. Gentlemen, Gabriel began, we have built this company on principles of excellence and integrity, principles that some seem to have forgotten. His eyes briefly rested on Viviana. Miss Ramirez has demonstrated exceptional ability to solve complex problems under pressure. That is why, before you, I want to formally offer her the position of Director of Strategic Relations. A collective gasp swept through the room. Clara looked at him stunned, sure she had misheard. This is absurd, Viviana protested. She lacks qualifications, contacts, class. She has exactly what this company needs. Gabriel interrupted her. Intelligence, loyalty, and vision, qualities that, unfortunately, other people have substituted for intrigue and manipulation. Gabriel's hand found hers under the table and squeezed it firmly. I won't let them take you down, even if I have to break the rules, he murmured. So only she could hear him. The partnership begins. The skyscrapers of Guadalajara were silhouetted against the orange sunset sky. From the private jet window, Clara contemplated the city stretching beneath them like a board of twinkling lights. First time on a jet? Gabriel asked, watching her with a half smile. First time flying in something other than economy class, she confessed. 2 weeks had passed since that turbulent meeting. Her appointment as director had shaken the power structure in the company, causing mixed reactions. Some celebrated the merit acknowledged. Others, loyal to Viviana, murmured about favoritism. The Monteverde heiress had temporarily disappeared from the corporate map, withdrawn by her father to the family mansion after the scandal. A momentary truce Clara was grateful for. How is Leah with your sister? Gabriel asked as the plane began its descent. Delighted. They have the Princess movie marathon scheduled. This whirlwind trip to Guadalajara represented her first official mission, closing an agreement with artisan textile suppliers for the next collection. A delicate negotiation that required both commercial skill and cultural sensitivity. I trust your instinct, Gabriel had said when assigning her the task. You will know how to connect with them better than any of our traditional executives. The Hotel Velvet received them with the characteristic discretion and elegance of a 5-star establishment. Clara watched the architectural details fascinated as they walked through the marble lobby. Good evening, Mr. Monteverde. The manager, Lucas, greeted with reverence. Everything is prepared according to your specifications. Thank you, Lucas, Gabriel replied, quickly signing the register. Clara followed him toward the elevators, mentally reviewing the key points for the next day's meeting. She was determined to prove that her promotion had not been a mistake, or, worse, an act of pity. The elevator stopped on the top floor. As the doors opened, a hallway with only 2 doors greeted them. The presidential suite is divided into 2 areas, Gabriel explained, handing her an electronic keycard. Each one will have their own space. Relief and an inexplicable hint of disappointment mixed inside her. Since Valle de Bravo, an unresolved tension floated between them, carefully avoided in strictly professional conversations. "Rest well," he said in parting. "Tomorrow will be an intense day." "You too. Good night." Clara entered her suite and let out a silent whistle of admiration. The sober but undeniable luxury of the space made her feel momentarily like an imposter. Did she really deserve to be there? After a revitalizing shower, she was about to review the documents one last time when a knock on the door startled her. "I forgot to give you this," Gabriel said, handing her a folder. "The family backgrounds of our artisans. Details that don't appear in the official reports. Thank you. That's exactly what I needed." An awkward silence settled between them. Gabriel remained in the doorway, as if he wanted to say something more. "Fancy a drink?" he finally proposed. "There's a balcony with stunning views." Something in his tone, more vulnerable than usual, made her nod. The shared balcony connected both suites. The city sparkled beneath them as they enjoyed an exquisite aged tequila in comfortable silence. "Why did you choose me for this?" she finally asked. "And I don't just mean this trip." Gabriel contemplated his glass of wine before answering. "Because you see what others overlook, including me. That doesn't justify risking your position in front of the board." "My position was never at risk." An enigmatic smile played on his lips. Viviana overestimated her influence. "Nevertheless, she is still the daughter of the majority shareholder." Gabriel let out a deep sigh, leaning his elbows on the railing. "Do you know why I founded my own division?" "To escape from family arrangements. My father and hers planned our union since we were teenagers, a business merger disguised as a marriage." The revelation surprised her. She began to understand the complex currents flowing beneath the surface. "That's why Viviana acts as if she has rights over you." "In her world, she does," he replied bitterly. "I was a coward for not definitively breaking free from those expectations." The silence enveloped them again, but now charged with pending confessions. "My father was a brilliant but ruthless man," Gabriel continued, as if he had opened a long-sealed floodgate. "He built an empire by sacrificing any authentic human connection. When he died, I understood that I had been following in his footsteps. What changed? The look he gave her made her heart race. I saw a woman carrying her little sister in her arms, breaking all the rules to care for her, and I knew there was another way to live." Clara felt tears threaten to escape her eyes. "Now it's your turn," he said softly. "Tell me something no one else knows." "I'm scared," she confessed. "Every morning, every night. Scared of not being enough for Leah, of failing her as a real mother would. But you're not her mother, precisely because of that. My parents entrusted me with caring for her, and sometimes I feel like I'm improvising, moving forward blindly." A rebellious tear rolled down her cheek. Gabriel delicately caught it with his thumb. "Improvisation is underrated," he murmured. "It means you are present, adapting, not following someone else's script." The sudden closeness between them was palpable. Clara could make out the gold flecks in Gabriel's dark eyes, feel his breath mingling with hers. "We should rest," she whispered, although every inch of her body contradicted her words. "We should," he agreed, without pulling away. A thunder rumbled in the distance, breaking the spell. Thick drops began to fall, forcing them to take refuge inside. "Good night, Gabriel," she said in farewell at the door connecting both suites. "Good night, Clara." The storm and the truth. The storm raged during the early morning. Lightning intermittently illuminated the room when Clara woke up startled by a particularly violent clap of thunder. Her first thought was for Leah, until she remembered where she was. Loneliness suddenly hit her. She sat up, hugging her knees, listening to the downpour lash the windows. A soft knock on the connecting door startled her. "Are you awake?" Gabriel's voice sounded unusually vulnerable. "Yes," she replied, turning on the nightlamp. He entered looking disheveled, his hair messy and an expression she hadn't seen before. "Forgive the intrusion," he said. "It's absurd, but storms, since I was a child." He didn't need to finish the sentence. Clara recognized the primitive fear, irrational but powerful. "It's not absurd," she replied, moving to the side of the bed. "Sit down." They talked for hours, shielded by the intimacy that only night and the storm could provide, about truncated childhoods, abandoned dreams, and wounds they had never shown anyone else. When exhaustion finally overtook them, they fell asleep next to each other, fully clothed, their hands intertwined in the small space that separated them. The light of dawn found them like that, in a scene of innocent intimacy more powerful than any physical encounter. During breakfast on the hotel terrace, Clara's sister appeared unexpectedly, having decided to surprise them by bringing Leah. Seeing Gabriel and Clara together, the little girl smiled radiantly, her eyes shining with childlike hope. "So we are a family now, right?" Before they could answer, a familiar voice chilled Clara's blood. "What a touching scene." Viviana advanced toward them with feline elegance. "I'm sorry to interrupt this very domestic breakfast." Her calculating gaze briefly rested on Clara before turning to Gabrielle with a triumphant smile. "We need to talk, darling," she announced, stroking her belly with a deliberate gesture. "I'm pregnant." The gala and the promise. The silence following Viviana's announcement seemed to freeze time. The glances of nearby diners fixed on them, eager for drama. "Leah, why don't you go with your sister to see the fish in the pond?" Clara suggested, maintaining an external calm she didn't feel. Clara's sister, sensing the tension, took the little girl's hand. "Come on, sweetie. I'll buy you ice cream." When the three were alone, Gabriel stared intently at Viviana. "You're not pregnant." "Excuse me?" Viviana's smile faltered slightly. "You heard me." The rest of the conversation took place in the presidential suite, away from prying ears. Clara watched the exchange with a strange sense of detachment, as if contemplating a play she had accidentally been included in. "How dare you question my word?" Viviana protested. "Do you forget our night in Valle de Bravo?" Gabriel maintained his impenetrable expression. "Viviana, there has never been our night, not in Valle de Bravo, nor anywhere else in the last 2 years." "This is absurd!" Her voice began to rise. Your father will receive the results of the external audit this afternoon," Gabriel interrupted, with calculated coldness, "including the report on how you've been diverting company funds to your personal accounts." Viviana's perfectly made-up face paled. "You can't prove anything." "I can, and I have. Your signature is on every document." Clara watched in astonishment as the ever-composed Viviana crumbled before her eyes. The woman who had tormented her for months now looked small, frightened. "I only wanted what was mine," she muttered, all pretense abandoned. "What our fathers agreed upon." "That agreement died with them," Gabriel replied, his voice softening slightly. "You always had your own talent, Viviana. You didn't need this." "And now what? Will you destroy me publicly?" "That's up to you. Resign from your position, return the money, and the matter will remain between us." When Viviana left the room, defeated, but with her dignity intact, Clara finally spoke. "You knew about the embezzlement before Valle de Bravo, didn't you?" Gabriel nodded. "That's why I went into her room that night. I needed to confirm my suspicions. And you let me believe it was a mistake," he interrupted. "I should have explained it to you then." The meeting with the artisans went better than expected. The agreement they signed not only guaranteed fair conditions for the weavers, but also positioned Monteverde fashion as a pioneer in ethical trade. During the flight back to Mexico City, Clara contemplated the clouds, reconfiguring her view of the man sitting across from her. This Gabriel, capable of showing compassion even toward someone who sought to destroy him, contradicted the image of the ruthless businessman everyone feared. The following days passed in a strange normalcy. Viviana's disappearance from the corporate scene generated inevitable rumors, but they were quickly overshadowed by the announcement of the collaboration with the Guadalajara artisans. Clara plunged into her new role, determined to prove that she deserved it for her capabilities. She dedicated her evenings entirely to Leah, making up for her recent absence with story marathons and craft projects. However, Gabriel's presence persisted in her mind. The moments shared in Guadalajara had opened a door she could no longer completely close. One afternoon, while reviewing proposals in her new office, it still felt strange to think of that space as hers. She received an unexpected visit. "You have a visitor downstairs," Isabel informed her with an enigmatic smile. "If I were you, I wouldn't keep him waiting." Descending to the lobby, she found Gabriel chatting animatedly with Leah. The girl was holding a colossal ice cream and laughing with abandon. "He kidnapped me on the way out of school," Leah explained when Clara reached them. "With my sister's complicity, apparently. I needed expert advice," he replied with feigned seriousness, "for a matter of vital importance." "Matter," Leah intervened importantly. "The annual charity gala. We're going to go, all three of us." Clara looked at Gabriel questioningly. "It's this weekend. I thought we could attend together," he explained. "The three of us." The charity event was the pinnacle of the social calendar, bringing together the country's business and political elite. The invitation was not merely professional, and they both knew it. "I don't know what to wear for something like that," she finally replied. "That's solvable," Gabriel smiled. That night, a messenger delivered a box from the city's most exclusive boutique to her apartment. The dress inside was a masterpiece of elegant simplicity, exactly her size, and in her favorite color. The night of the gala, descending the ballroom stairs on Gabriel's arm, Clara felt the assessing glances of high society. She was aware of the whispers following them. Monteverde's new acquisition, from assistant to official companion. It won't last, however. Gabrielle's firm hand on her waist and Leah's radiant smile, spectacular in her princess dress, provided her with an anchor amidst that sea of pretension. The evening progressed with the predictable succession of dinners, toasts, and charity auctions, when the master of ceremonies announced, "And now, Mr. Gabriel Monteverde will share a few words about the future of his foundation." Gabriel took the stage with his usual dominant presence. However, something in his expression was different, more open, almost vulnerable. "For years," he began, "I measured success in figures, expansions, and acquisitions. I believed that was what my father expected." A murmur ran through the audience. Gabriel Monteverde never spoke of personal matters. "Recently, I understood that I was wrong," he continued. "True legacy is not built by accumulating power, but by sharing purpose." His gaze found Clara's in the crowd. "I learned this lesson from someone who showed me that authentic strength lies in the capacity to care for others, to put their needs first without losing one's own essence." With an unexpected gesture, he extended his hand toward her. "Clara, could you join me, please?" Bewildered, she moved through the tables onto the stage. Leah, interpreting the gesture as a general invitation, ran after her. With the two of them by his side, Gabriel continued. "The Monteverde Foundation will initiate a support program for mothers and sisters who, like Clara, assume parental responsibilities under extraordinary circumstances." Applause resonated in the hall. Clara blinked to hold back unexpected tears. "But I have another announcement to make," Gabriel added, his voice taking on a more personal tone, one that transcended the professional. From the inside pocket of his jacket, he pulled out a small box. The audience collectively held its breath. "Clara Ramirez," his voice softened, "you have taught me that I do not need to choose between success and authenticity." He opened the box, revealing not a ring, as everyone expected, but a delicate silver bracelet with 3 intertwined charms, a G, an M, and an L. Gabrielle, Clara, and Leah. I offer you not a fairy tale ending, but a real beginning. A partnership in every possible sense. Leah, unable to contain herself, clapped enthusiastically. Tell him yes, Clara. The audience's affectionate laughter broke the tension. Clara took the bracelet with trembling fingers. Partnership? She asked quietly. Gabriel's eyes, habitually inscrutable, now revealed absolute vulnerability. I don't need you to give up anything, he murmured. So only she could hear. I just need you to choose me every day. There, under the bright lights, and before the social elite who had once scorned her, Clara understood that some choices do not require sacrifice, but courage to accept happiness when it finally arrives. Unexpected, but perfectly on time.